we have our next caregiver here, and I will hand it over to her to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Nikki. I am a full-time caregiver for my mom for these last 11 years. My mom was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when she was 56. I was 27, and I really thought that life was going to turn out a little bit differently because at 27, I had worked so hard to get to this position in my role as an account executive in the fashion industry. And then mom got diagnosed. So life just got super duper real and I quit my job. I thought I took on that caregiver role like, oh, okay, boom, this is what we're gonna do, Mom. We're gonna get a calendar. We're gonna have projects every day. Okay, we're gonna eat healthy. We're gonna do our yoga and meditation. We are going to be good. But that is not what happened. That is not what happened. She was so angry at being diagnosed at this age. Because if you think about it, at 56, you're at that point in your life where your kids are grown in college, hopefully, or doing their thing safely and healthy. And you have now your home by yourself. You can go travel, you can go develop those hobbies, do whatever you want to do. That's what your life should be like at 56, but it wasn't. It was now a new reality. And she was very angry. She had worked so hard to become a nurse. And, before becoming a nurse, she was a banker. And then before that, she was a teacher. So she used to work as a banker and a teacher, and she'd go to night school to become a nurse. And then when she finally became a nurse, it was like, yeah, victory. And then she got sick. So all of that, I think, really hit her very hard, and she was very angry and very depressed. And I tried to find different things like to get her out of that depression, but I was also feeling depressed for her having to go through this, and also that I was now going through something that I didn't understand what it was. Because when you have a job, that in essence, it kind of is like, it determines your personality and your character and like who you are as a person. And without that job, what is your identity, And I know my mom struggled with trying to figure out who she was now as a person. And I was trying to understand, what does it mean to be a caregiver? So it was just a very rough first year. And I did a lot of research. And unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of help because this was 11 years ago. So not too much was known about how to really live with someone who has Alzheimer's in the first stage, okay? Because, there are tons of information on what to do when they're in the last stage, when you're getting ready for the end. But what about the process of going through what it is right now? How do you develop your style as a caregiver? How can you be empathetic with your caree and not demean them, even though they might be in a toddler-like state of mind? You know what I mean? So I had to do a lot of research and a lot of reading. And thankfully, I used to teach also. I taught autistic children. So I just put all that together in my new role as a caregiver. And I centered mainly mom's other senses, not just her brain and her memory, but other things that would bring about that sense of remembering. So, like, I don't know if you know, but September is known, or fall really, is known as the memory season. Because if you think about it, in fall, what happens? You're going to school, so I'm aging myself, but I remember the pencil and the shaving. I remember the smell of that. I remember getting excited about my uniform, and oh my God, there's so many uniforms, so many skirts and shirts, yes! So I tried also to put that into my caregiving role. Like, okay, I'm gonna try to do a minimal aesthetic here. So I'm gonna make sure mommy has a uniform to wear. So that was like all her colors that she enjoyed. I made sure every day she had one of those colors in it, and it was always a shirt in the bottom, a hoodie and a shirt in the bottom, a tank top with a shirt in the bottom. It was always something that had a uniform look, and that helped ease her anxiety when it came to, oh my God, what am I wearing today? Yeah, she didn't have to worry. And then also with the sense of smell, I use lavender because she suffered with sundowning. And that's like when the sun goes down, they turn to Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, that situation. dear God of mercy. So having lavender was just such a great triumphant thing, because then she started calming herself down. And then all other things like changing the light bulbs to daylight lighting so that she wouldn't feel, you know, that it is evening and now somebody's coming after me, I have to go home. It was always this fear of, I gotta go home, somebody's coming. And a lot of people who suffer with Alzheimer's, they have the same conversations with you, which is, I gotta go home, even if they're in their house. And basically what that means is they want to feel safe. They want to feel familiar. And how to do that is to recognize they don't like the nighttime. So create an environment that is always daytime, you know, or have things in the home that makes them feel good. So mom loves the color red. So in every room we had something red. And it wasn't like red walls, red sofa, red rug. It wasn't like that. It was just the little intentional things like red roses, you know, red dishes, red towels, things like that. So it didn't take off of my own feng shui in my space, but also still made her feel like this is my space too.
Wow, that is something that we haven't heard. We haven't heard the tips and tricks for the early stage of Alzheimer's, which is something that we're looking for because, as you said, there's so many resources for late stage caregiving and late stage like dementia. And so something that we've been struggling to identify is, where do we go to even find people who are within the early stage, where we don't really know if it's because they don't recognize that their loved one has dementia at that stage. That could be one issue. Or also they're not looking for support yet. So like outright on Instagram or outright on Facebook, they may not be looking for support. So that was very helpful. I think the daylight aspect, the colors, the uniform aspect, that's such wonderful like tips.
No,
I don't think we've done a lot of research just throughout my involvement in the company. I've done research, but that's not something that I've come across yet. But I think it's also because I'm not asking the correct questions. And so I think knowing this is going to help like significantly with just like the content that we want to put out as a company, because we do want to be a platform, one, for caregivers, as well as be a platform just to kind of like be like a little bit of a support system in addition to the application that we're creating.
Oh yeah, you know, and I gotta say, I don't think it's that you're not asking the right questions. It's just, who would know to ask those questions if you're not in that situation?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think having the perspective from a caregiver, they would really kind of give you that insight that you won't be privy to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think like this is what we're like, these caregiver interviews that we've been conducting have been super helpful, just kind of helping us guide where to go, what to do. And it's kind of like a different version of a focus group, essentially, just
I like that.
basically trying to get as much information. Regarding the past 11 years. Wow, that's pat on the back for you. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I felt it.
Are you the sole caregiver? Like, have you had any support throughout these past 11 years?
So yes, I am the sole caregiver. And to that, okay, so hear me out on my answer, right? I feel like with a diagnosis like Alzheimer's, it's a very heavy situation to process, because it's a long-term diagnosis, and every day you are going to be losing a part of yourself. So that loss is something to really mourn in essence. And I think that when mom was diagnosed, it was really hard for a lot of the family members to understand and process that. And the way that they grieved that situation is something that they're still doing. So they struggle a lot with it. And I think in the culture at the time, it wasn't something that we talked about, you know? And it is very hard, because you are going to be losing a bit of this person every day. And I know for myself, being the sole caregiver, it was a very hard and challenging time to understand that I am going to be alone. even in my emotions about the situation. So it took years for other family members to participate and to help, like give me respite. And actually, it wasn't until this COVID situation that now family members are being more active, like doing the do not disturb drop offs and sending mom and I groceries. So that has been such a huge change and shift in this whole caregiving situation. I also want to add that I have a sister, and she has been a help in a different aspect where I take care of mom physically and mentally and spiritually. My sister handles all of the paperwork, you know, and the finances and all the documents. So she doesn't live here with us. She lives in another city, but it's also a very good help that she is able to handle that side of this caregiving situation too.
Okay. Well, at least, yeah, support is good. And it's, I guess that's a positive way to look at it, that COVID kind of helped the situation change the culture a little bit. Um,
Yeah,
it could have
because
been.
we're even though we're separated, we're not isolated. And I think that is something that the family members understand more so than, oh my God, it's Alzheimer's, so what? Now they get it. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're over there, but I'm over here, but I can still help. So in a sense, Alzheimer's is kind of like COVID in that way where, yeah, we are separated, but we should not be isolating, you know. And I think a conversation needs to be started where people understand this is not a contagious situation, you know. It's something to take time and understand what it is that we're dealing with. We're dealing with a cognitive disability. Not saying that this person is going to be disabled and not be able to handle things. They can, but in their own way. And to be sensitive towards that is going to go a long way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very good point. That's something that I guess just takes time for people to understand. And also, yeah, COVID, I think, opened up the possibility, or like it made people realize that you don't have to be in person to help, which is, I think,
Exactly.
a really big thing.
Okay, my dad was at the door. Dad, I'm on the interview.
I was wondering if you can talk about the log cabin from your Instagram page. Like, what is that about? What is the story? I was super curious. That your page looks amazing. It's just
Oh
so
my God,
aesthetically
thank
pleasing
you.
to look at. Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. I
anyways.
worked really hard on that. Yeah, so okay. I I was living in a studio apartment, and I moved out to to take care of my mom, and the only space available was the basement, and in the basement it was wood paneling everywhere, so I felt like I was living in a log cabin. And I remember I used to journal all the time, and I started journaling online, which is now called blogging. So yeah, I was just journaling about it, and like I had mentioned before, I was trying different techniques to get my mom out of that depression. And one of the things that my sister had suggested was to make jewelry, and she was taking these classes. So I said, yeah, I'm so desperate. I will do anything. Let's go, mom. So we took these jewelry classes, and mommy loved it. Like, she turned back into her old self. She was happy again. Like, I know I have a lot of energy, but my mom is me times 100. She was just always hype all the time. She didn't even need a reason. But anyway, making the jewelry, she was just back to herself. And I have to say to that, you know, we as humans, we have to have a purpose. You know, we have to have something that fulfills that deep inside calling, whatever it is that you need. And that became her purpose. So she was just making all kinds of pieces. And when we would go grocery shopping at a farmer's market, I remember people would stop her and be like, oh my God, where are those earrings from? So we opened an Etsy shop. And then from there, I started a Shopify. And then, you know, we went on social media. But as it progressed, her disease, that is, I found that I wanted to honor her in this journey and not just because Instagram is all about the real, right? So taking your selfies and your photos, and it was very challenging to do that because it's been 11 years, and she is not able to respond to direction or even understand simple words for direction. She's also nonverbal now, so she can't speak. Um, so in order to honor her on her journey, what I decided to do was just change our general look on our page and be more centered and focused on wellness and mental health. And I think we're getting to that point, hopefully, but we'll see.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing that you were able to do that with your mom and still continue this whole progress.
Yeah.
Um, so I know you use Instagram and social media. Has there been any technology that you've used to kind of help during the past 11 years
Oh my
with the
God,
actual
yes.
caregiving process?
Yes, and that's a great question. Oh, and I read this article just this morning about caregivers and technology, and now they're trying to do more. They're trying to create apps like you guys, and have more technology into the whole caregiving thing. And I think that is so right on. So for me, even when we first started, I always had a goal of making my home a smart home. So I wanted I wanted everything smart. I want to be able to talk to it and it worked for me, right? So I had invested in the Amazon Echo. That was like a long time when it was like the long situation. Like it was huge. And then I also did a smart vacuum because even though when I first started, mom was able to help me with certain things, she couldn't really do too many things well. Like she could definitely vacuum where, you got to go in that one motion up and down. So that was great, but she couldn't wash dishes because the food is still on the dish. Like what's happening, mom? Thank you though for trying. So the little things that she could do, she was helpful with, but all the other things, it just became so much to manage, and to just make me feel less of an overwhelm, I implemented having smart technology. So the smart plugs, motor sensor, night lights, again, Amazon Echo. And when you have like the smart plugs, you can actually have it collaborate with your Echo so that you can give it a routine and set yourself up. So usually in the mornings, I'll just call out my Amazon Echo's name and let her know, start my day. And she turns on the lights, she turns on the music, and then, we're able to just do what we got to do, which is I start my coffee, I get breakfast made, and there it is. So it has been a huge help and something I'm so grateful for. Can you imagine walking in the house, turning on every one of those lights in the morning, and then in the night, turning every one of those lights off, and then doing it again 364 more days? I can't. I can't.
Yes, it does. Okay, so regarding technology, I know you mentioned that you use a lot of smart technology, and that is something that hopefully we want to do in the future, connect it to like Alexa. The actual app does have a chat-based function, which is using, yeah, I think I also have an Alexa, which I'm like, oh, I need to whisper right now.
She's so nosy. Nobody's talking to you. We're talking about you.
Yeah, so it's something that we want to do in the future, but in terms
Awesome.
of organization and kind of keeping track of medications and event scheduling, did you use any specific apps for that? Did you use a personal calendar, technology, non-technology, paper?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I like both. So I like to kick it old school and write things down, but then I also like reminders. So I use my GCal to do a lot of those things. And the GCal also connects with my Echo. So I was able, when I said, start my day, she runs through what I have on my calendar for that day. And I also set up reminders for like when it's time to take medicine. Not to say that I would forget, but because as a sole caregiver, I'm doing all these different things, I might not take the opportunity to be like, oh yeah, and then we also have to take this too. Let's do the meds. So my Amazon is connected to my GCal and my reminders. Also reminders for drinking water too in the summertime. So it's seasonal, the different ways that I activate her. And I think it really behooves caregivers to do that. In fact, you don't even have to be a caregiver to use technology. I think we should become more comfortable with technology. And even if they, even if you don't want to invest in an Echo, there are other things that you can do also. Like you can invest in smart plugs, smart light bulbs, just to save on your energy, peace of mind. Even so much like with the wandering, I have this motion sensor that I use, and it is this little Eufy light. Anyway, I have about 1,700 of them in the house, but it's fantastic. You just use batteries, and when it gets dark, all the lights turn on, and it's very bright, and it lasts for a whole year. Can you imagine? Isn't that dope? Yeah, I know, dope. So when my mom was doing a lot of the wandering, I never had a fear because the lights would come on, and she was able to see it right where she was going and not, have any accidents or anything like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing how adaptive you are just as a person in general. I think that's a big thing. And also just like realizing that it's super beneficial for your loved one is a big thing that some people just are very much not used to, and something that they just don't do.
Yeah, and that's why I really think that when someone is getting a diagnosis like this, it's important for them to understand that life is not over. I remember when they gave us a diagnosis, and they were like, all right, so yeah, she's got early onset dementia, Alzheimer's. I was like, damn. So what do we do? Like, what's the next move? And the doctor said, yeah, okay, well, we'll see you in 6 months. What? That's it? I'll see you in 6 months. So if we could have some way, somehow, for the person who is now with this diagnosis and their loved one there, have a conversation like, hey, this is what you should do. Create a dementia-friendly home. That's the first thing that you should do. Start to create this dementia-friendly home. And here's why. Because when I akin it to someone who is who just got pregnant and they're about to have a baby, when they go to the doctor sets them up. They don't just say, hey, I'll see you on that Labor Day. Yeah, I'll see you then. No, they tell you, hey, you're going to have to start getting those little things for your outlets so that your baby can't get involved into things. You're going to have to start making sure that you have your furniture is in a way that your baby can't get hurt. That's what they do. They prepare you. They prepare you to prepare your house, your life for this time period that your baby, your newborn, is going to be vulnerable. And that's what we should do when we have a diagnosis like this. We need to start to prepare our livelihoods, our homes, and our space. Set that up. When it comes to the kitchen, oh my God, I had no idea. I had no idea about, I gotta hide the butcher knives. I gotta hide my glassware. I didn't know until things started falling on the floor, and it's like, Jesus, okay. So I'm gonna rearrange. And then I started to read a lot of mommy bloggers and see what they do with their kids. And it was like, okay, their house can still be fly, and they can still be a mom, a really good one too. Okay, that's the conversation that needs to be started.
That's really good. That's a huge gap. Yeah, that's not something that I haven't found. Like we want to put out tips and tricks and to help caregivers. And I think we know that we need to do those kind of things, but don't exactly know what it is. And I was wondering if you knew of any resources that we can look into ourselves as like a dementia care company to find out what exactly people should do, and so we can create that awareness. Or is this something that you still believe that right now it's something you have to experience in order to really understand? Like, I know you said you've been looking at mommy bloggers. Has there been any kind of resource that you found that actually discusses that early dementia prep?
No, I haven't found that, but I do see it a lot on social media platforms like Dementia Care. You guys. And caregivers who, I don't know if I can say it, but are influencers in industry. I think what would be helpful for a caregiver, and I'm just speaking from a millennial perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but it's to have it like a syllabus, you know? Because I remember when I went to college, they gave us a list of all the things that we needed for the courses that we were going to take. Now, if I didn't get those things, I would be sitting in the class feeling like a nut butt because I am unprepared. And that's the way I felt when I started with mom, because I was just like, I don't know anything. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make you feel better, or at least to make it through today. But if I had a list of things that I could at least prep myself with and prep her with, that would help. So I started my platform back in the days, and now I'm starting to see more caregivers who are doing those things. They are talking about creating a dementia-friendly home and having um, devices for their loved one and also for themselves. Like Torin is an amazing caregiver. She's using a device, a GPS device, where it's not just some hardware that looks dorky. It looks dope. It is so cool. You can wear it. It's so many options. Oh my God! You can wear it as a belt for your pants. You can wear it on your arm situation. Can you imagine just doing your little power walk with your mask on and you got your GPS there? Yeah. You can wear it on your shirt. It is so cool. And then that's just for the caree, right? Are you sitting down? Because for the caregiver, you got yourself a little app. You can see what's going on with your caree. Like, oh snap, you just left. Oh snap, you're on 56th Street. Okay, it's so cool. And I wish that could continue, you know, and we can just get more and more information out there. But I haven't found like websites that talk about it. But I do see it a lot more on social media, which makes sense because we have so much more millennial caregivers today than we ever did before. Like back in 2015, I do not think we had this many millennial caregivers. So yeah, times they are
Yeah,
changing.
we actually spoke to Torin. I didn't speak to her personally, but another one of our team members did, and he mentioned the fact that we spoke to Torin. It's such a cool. It's sad because of the small world, but we definitely know that there's so many more. We're just starting to overlap now, which means
Yes.
that like maybe they're just not on social media. Maybe they hopefully will see one of these interviews and go on to social media. But yeah, the millennial caregivers is a big thing, and I think we're becoming I think just the technology aspect of it, we're all so adaptable to it. So I think
Yeah.
that is the future.
Definitely. We're very open to it. I know I was a part of a support group and they were talking about different things that we're trying as caregivers. And I was like, oh my God, I am trying my Echo because I put her to work. She's been working. And somebody made a comment like, well, and now I got to also say that all the support groups that I've been to, they were always filled with senior citizens. They were all older, they were retired, and yeah, they were seniors. So I couldn't really feel that connection with them on that level, but the caregiver level, yeah, but not everything else. So anyway, one of them said, I just feel like using an Echo is that's for someone who's lazy. You know, why can't you? What? Someone who's lazy? How many hours in the day you think I gotta turn on all these damn lights? I don't got it. I don't got the time. I don't got it. But yeah, I feel to your point, I feel that millennials are much more open to it. Like, hey, you know what? Yeah, let me just throw this app on and make it work.
Yeah, and I think that's so great. And I hope, like, I know you said that the GPS was super helpful because you're able to see where exactly your care receiver is. And so what our app is doing ideally would incorporate all of these technological advancements. But right now, what we have is the fact that we have one interface for the caregiver and one interface for the caree, where the caregiver can schedule the events, the medications, can send photos, can see daily reports. And then on the caree side, they can actually we have a chat bot that's actually controlled by Alexa.
I love it.
So they can talk and then they can ask or they can receive their schedule for the day, whether or not they can answer if they've taken their medications or went to their event, and you will get a notification as a caregiver if they have done that.
Wow.
So that's something that we think is a pretty cool and hopefully useful tactic.
Very.
And we just wanted to know what your thoughts are on that. Do you think that that would have been helpful in the earlier stages? I understand that your mom is nonverbal. I'm not sure if she's using a phone right now. So would you say that that ability would have been useful back then?
Oh my God, yes, yes, it would have. I think uh, in every stage, you're gonna need something, and I think from at least stage 1 to stage 5, that app would be a huge resource. I think when you get, because there's 7 stages in Alzheimer's, so when you get to stage 6, stage 7, it becomes a bit, which is unfortunate, a little bit easier to manage because the caree is very, they're like a baby, really. So they're more open to your whatever you want to direct them to do. If you want to have them sit, they will just sit and stay there. If you want them to drink their water, you'll have to help them drink their water. But they're not combative anymore. Yeah. So I think for the early stages, that app sounds incredible.
Oh, thank you for that just like that alone is super helpful for us, because we're actually looking for beta testers, so people to
Oh,
just test the
cool.
app and just experiment, see if it's helpful, if it's not helpful, give us advice as to what works for you and what doesn't. And I think it aligns with us even doing these caregiver interviews to get your personal insight rather than just
Yes.
kind of going on a random website from a university kind of giving us some information.
Smart.
We've kind of established the idea that we need to also help, like currently our goal is to help with caregivers of all stages and people with the dementia of all stages, but right now the app is currently obviously more tailored toward the early stages. Right now we've kind of opened the idea of having, in addition to the 2 interface one, we'll have a 1 interface one where the caregiver can use both sides and
Okay.
can get the event reminders and the medication reminders. And so in that sense, do you think, like, do you have any input on how useful that would be right now, where you are right now as a late stage caregiver, just getting the reminders? I know you said you already use other platforms for that,
Right.
but if you did not have those, would this be something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, I would still be interested in it, even though I'm using this stuff. But what I find to be more helpful for the late stages. So in the early stages, it's all really about the care read. Making sure that they're good, and obviously you have to have that balance where you're also making sure you're good. But really, the focus is more centered on this care read. In the later stages, it is going to now flip, and you have to make sure you're good. So I think what would be a helpful tool on the app, and I don't know if it can be done, but to have reminders specific to the caregiver, like, hey, did you drink your water today? Hey, did you breathe? Hey, it's time to meditate, because I know now 11 years have passed, but my anxiety level is to the roof. Okay. Like, I sometimes have panic attacks, I get migraines, and I have to thank God for this watch. I have a smartwatch, this Apple Watch, and it will vibrate very spontaneously, and it'll say, hey, Nikki, time to breathe. Oh, was I not? Okay, all right. And I'll take that 5-second breath, But things like that would help me tremendously because I don't realize that I'm not doing that.
I think that's amazing, because our current app, like, we can schedule whatever event, whatever reminder that you want can be put into the app. And I think you've confirmed that second version, it was going to be super helpful. I guess can be used for all stages.
Yes,
It can be
yes.
used for all stages, just
Oh, yeah.
something to remind yourself. But that is such amazing insight, and I really appreciate it. I think the last question that we'll have for this would be, if you were to give one or a few lessons for new caregivers, what would you say? What would you say has been what would you say that you like you wish you knew earlier on, kind of thing?
Ooh, I like that question. Look at you. I would say I wish I knew that I could control what I could control. I wish I knew that. I thought that I thought that life was just over and I had no say over anything anymore. That is a farce. It is such a gross lie. Life is so beautiful and it is controllable with what you can control. And here's what I found that I could control. I can control the thoughts that go into my mind. I can take my time. I used to feel very microwavable, you know, like, nope, gotta get it done. Nope, gotta do this. Nope, gotta get it now. It is not that, it's not the case. You know, it's okay to take your time and to just enjoy the process, you know, to move slow. Like when I mentioned about creating a dementia-friendly home, I threw all kinds of things into my Amazon cart. I didn't buy it right away, but I definitely knew this is on the wish list. I'm about to get this Tuesday. I'm going to get this next month. Then when a holiday hits, I'm getting all 5 of these things, you know, so it's okay to take your time, control what you can control, you know? And that's what I would say to any caregiver out there, like breathe, find that balance. And that was another thing too. I felt like I always had to be about my mom and I can't enjoy myself because she's not enjoying herself. So how dare I? I mean, that also is a lie. Of course you're going to enjoy yourself. Enjoy it. Go ahead. So this is just, this is like a little story, right? So my mom loves music and so do I. So every morning I would always have her music on and I would end up knowing every word to all her songs. This was the same 5 songs. And it felt like this is the song that does it. And oh no, do you know that song? Oh my God, every morning. And then I started getting really upset. And I was like, what? Why am I upset today? What's going on? Oh yeah, this song again. Thanks, Alexa. I mean, I was so mad at everybody. Fire for everybody. But I had to start to realize first, there are Bluetooth headphones that we can use in this situation. That's the first trick. Second trick, oh wait, I don't always have to play mommy's type of music. I can play my music, which is ratchet and hip hop. And that's fine too. You know, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna dance. We're gonna have a good time and eat this breakfast. It's gonna be great. But that's something to understand. Control what you can control and balance. Balance in everything.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. All of your insight is definitely going to be super helpful. One, for our company, I think, and also for all the caregivers watching. So I appreciate it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you again. What an honor. I really appreciate you making space for this conversation and taking time out. Oh, you're the best.